Hi, everyone. I wanted to come up here and talk about something that has been on my mind lately, and I think it would definitely help anybody who is looking to just level up in life, find ways to create self power or reclaim it. But I think this piece of information, whether you believe it or not, but the world evolves on judgment. So, first impressions are very important. And I've learned this through the workforce and, of course, through branding. I do branding work. So, however, when I started doing personal branding, I've realized that the world does evolve around judgment, and it's the first impression judgment. One of the biggest lies that people are taught is that first impressions don't matter. Don't judge a book by its cover. But the reality is, everyone does. I do it, you do it. The world does it. And honestly, I don't think it's a malicious thing. I think human beings are constantly reading energy. We're reading, a person's posture, a tone, how they respond, how they act, what they think about the world, their worldviews, how they dress. The list goes on. We're trying to understand, who is this person? Can I trust them? How do they believe in themselves? How do they make me feel? What I've been thinking about a lot lately, the older I get, the more I realize how much life changes when you start becoming very intentional with your presence. Not fake, intentional. There's a huge difference. Like how some people walk into a room and you immediately feel their presence. It's like there's just something about them. Their energy feels settled, certain, magnetic, and honestly, that kind of presence, that loud personal power. And honestly, people respond to energy before words in every single interaction. I think deep down, people tend to underestimate how intuitive humans can be. Before someone speaks, you can already feel something. You can either feel their insecurity, their desperation, their confidence. And I remember when I first started getting into personal branding, I thought it was just visuals, but it's definitely a lot deeper than that. Branding is essentially that energy. So when I think of branding, it's essentially the essence of who you are and how you make others feel about you. It's the feeling your presence leaves behind. And it's something that people can't copy because they need that conviction, and it's hard to replicate that very same conviction that you hold. Once I started studying psychology and mysticism, even power dynamics, studying videos of interactions, and you can find them everywhere. Just look up podcasts or interviews. The world runs heavily on perception. Honestly, the way that more people can even admit. Luxury brands understand it. Celebrities definitely understand it. And politicians most definitely understand it. And why do you think kings wore crowns and buildings were built beautiful? Why certain people wear certain colors? How some people have a certain pep in their step or the way that they walk into a room. Whether people like it or not, perception influences opportunity. People really decide about you in a few seconds. And I think that becoming aware of this is super empowering because it means that you can consciously shape your presence instead of unconsciously shrinking yourself. A lot of people move through life because they're scared of being perceived, terrified of judgment, terrified of being too much. But the people who change rooms are the ones who stop apologizing for their existence. I actually think fake it till you make it is the most understood phrases ever. Because most people will hear it and think, well, pretend to be someone you're not. But honestly, no, that doesn't mean that. No. What it really means is that practice embodying the version of yourself you're becoming. Because confidence doesn't usually come first, because it's action. And why do you think actors make something believable overnight? They rehearse identity. And speakers do the same thing before they do a keynote. Even the most magnetic people that you follow have practiced becoming comfortable in their own energy that you admire. And I think a lot of people are waiting to magically feel worthy before they show up powerfully. But life doesn't really work that way. Sometimes you have to be the one to move the rock first. Speak first, create first, walk into the room first. And to me, that's not being fake. It's embodying who you've been wanting to become. The one thing I've learned about studying Hermetic principles is that everything starts in the mind first. Your self-concept changes your reality. And I'm sure you've heard about this from many people before. But literally, go in the mirror, practice. The way you see yourself affects the way that you speak, the way that you hold yourself, your posture, how you dress, what opportunities you pursue, what you tolerate, and who you attract. People can immediately feel how you feel about yourself. And I know that sounds a little spiritual, but it's true. When someone deeply respects themselves, the room can feel it. Their energy feels grounding, present, clear. And honestly, I think magnetism is less about impressing people. It's more about fully accepting yourself. Because the people that feel magnetic are not the ones who have to prove to people or over-explain themselves to an audience. They're not begging for validation. They are just being. And there's something very incredibly empowering about that. Robert Greene talks a lot about reputation. And honestly, I personally think reputation is energetic too. Because once people decide who they think you are, they start filtering through that perception. If people see you as valuable, they treat your mistakes differently. Or if they see you less valuable, they treat you otherwise. Perception shapes interpretation. And honestly, this is why I believe in personal branding and why I'm in this space and why I'm in this work. Not from a superficial perspective, but it's the deep layers that I've learned in psychology and Hermeticism. Your visual identity, your voice, your environment, and your consistency, all of it tends to communicate before you even speak. And that's why I always say that your presence speaks before your mouth does. And I think the most powerful thing someone can do is be very intentional of who they are. You know what I've noticed about magnetic people? They don't rush. There's a calmness to them, a groundedness where they're fully in their body. And honestly, that's rare today. I mean, look at Michael Jackson, for example. He practiced his personal power from affirmations, practiced every dance move, rehearsed, talked to the mirror, everything. And especially now in this day and age, most people are fragmented, constantly overstimulated, overthinking, seeking approval. But magnetic people trust themselves. The ability to hold your own energy without collapsing into everyone else's opinion, just being deeply anchored in yourself. That's power. So honestly, if there's one thing I want people to take away from this video, you're allowed to become intentional about your presence. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to refine your energy, your voice, and your style. It doesn't make you fake. It makes you conscious. The world is already responding to your energy whether you know it or not. So why not just become intentional with it? Why not become the most embodied version of yourself? Because the truth is, the people who leave lasting impressions are usually the people who aren't the loudest people in the room. They're the people that fully believe in their presence. And when you believe in yourself so deeply, the world begins to respond to it too. Not overnight, but gradually. Because perception creates momentum. And the moment you stop shrinking yourself to make other people comfortable, your life begins to change and opportunities begin to arise. The world does in fact evolve around judgment. The way you perceive yourself eventually teaches the world how to perceive you.